Okay, so the Rebbe explained, we're up to Oish Dalet, the Rebbe explained in the previously about the different levels of Be'er Sheva, that coming down from Be'er Sheva, whether it's from the Be'er Sheva of Avraham, which is the level of Chochmah to Bina, or it's the level of Be'er Sheva of Yitzchak, which is coming down from Bina to Malchus, in order to come down further to Olam Biyah, to the world of Biyah. And this is the Rebbe going to say what the Vayetze is about. Vayetze means to go out, that Yaakov left Choron, left Eretz Yisrael to go to Choron to be mevarer all the nitzutzes. That's the Vayetze. That's going out, and that's going to help Yaakov, as the Rebbe will explain, to be able to be mevarer all the things by Lavan and with Esav and stay protected. So let's look inside. Dalit. V'zeu gam sheshem hasedra hu vayetze. Hamoira al inyona v'toichna hu vayetze. And this is also why the name of the Sedra, because we're talking about coming down from the higher level to the lower level, is also the reason why we call this Sedra Vayetze. And we know when we call a name of a Sedra, that points to the idea and the contents of the Sedra. So we call it Vayetze, means that's what the Sedra is. Hu Vayetze is Vayetze, because this is what it is. It is to go out and to go down to the lower level and to be mevarer and to go through the bibirur hanitzutzes of El Mezubiyah. Kikol inyan habirurim shabirer Yaakov Eitzel Lovon Hamevur Bahasedra. Because all of the concept of all these birurim, Yaakov worked with the sheep of Lovon and with the maklis, with the sticks, and with all the various different things that Yaakov did in the house of Lovon to be mevader the nitzutzes hamevur ba'asedra, which are explained in the Sedra. And matter of fact, it actually goes a little bit further than the Sedra. It goes also to the Sedra of Vayishlach. V'gam, and also Mashebirer Eitzel Esav Hamevur beParshas Vayishlach, and also that which he has sorted out by Esav, which is explained, articulated in the portion of Vayishlach. Shebo la'acharei ubehemshech lahabirurim shebirer Eitzel Lovan, that comes after and as a follow-up to the sorting out that he sorted out by Lovan. So the name is Vayetze, because this is what the Parsha talks about, birurim by Lavan, birurim by Esau. Huschal mitziose mi Be'er Sheva. This all started by Yetze Yaakov mi Be'er Sheva. Inyan Vayetze, the idea of going out, coming down from the higher level and going down to the lower level. That is Vayetze. That's the Parsha. It's the birurim coming from Be'er Sheva to coming down to the lower level, coming into Biyah. So, how is it accomplished that Yaakov accomplishes is something which Avram and Yitzchak did not have? Avram had a son Yishmael. Yitzchak had a son Esau. But Yaakov, all of his 12 Shvatim, he's called Mitosei Shlema. His bed is complete because they were all tzaddikim. How does Yaakov accomplish that? It is because it's the level of Vayetze Yaakov, the level of Yaakov, as the Rebbe is going to explain. This that he went out in such a way that he should sort out the sparks that are in Choron. That's why he's going to Choron, to sort out and elevate those sparks. and his bed should be complete, meaning that all of his children, the bed refers to the children. All of the children is going to be shlema. The bed is going to be shlema, meaning that they're all going to be tzaddikim. Loi ki Avraham sheyotza mimenu Yishmael. Unlike Avraham, who Yishmael came out from it, which means he had a son Yitzchak, but he also had a son Yishmael. Veloiki Yitzchak, and Yaakov is also not like Yitzchak sheyotza mimenu Esav. So Esav came out from Yitzchak, but by him is mitos shlema. How is that? Ha'inyan dihine kesiv, because the pasuk says v'yodoi oichezes ba'akev Esav. His hand holds on to the heel of Esav. So we're going to see the yodoi, that's the yud of Yaakov. The Akev, Yaakov is Yud, Akev. The word Yud, Yud Vav Dalet, is spelled Yodoi. That's can mean his hand holds back cave Esav, and because the Yud holds on to the Akeva Esav, that gives him the power to be mevarer Esav. V'lochein vayikra shmei Yaakov. The pasuk says because his hands was holding on to Akev Esav, he's called Yaakov. And in Yaakov, therefore, we have the Yud and the Akev, and that Yud makes sure that the Akev, that when he comes down and he holds down to the heel, he comes down to Esav, that he's going to be protected. Shebeshem Yaakov yesh beis chalokim. In the name Yaakov, there's two parts. There is the Yud, the first letter of the name of Yaakov, which Yud Vav Dal Yud, Yodoi Oisios Yud, that represents the Yodoi of his hand. That's the level of Yud. That's why the first letter of the name Yaakov represents the Yud, Yodoi of Yaakov, and also Akev. The second part of the name is Akev. As explained in Torah, in the beginning of the parsha, Yaakov hu bechinas Yud Akev, that Yaakov is the level of Yud Akev. Hainu, that is, what does it mean? Yaakov is Yud Akev. The Yud in the Akev. Hainu hamshochas bechinas chochma ilah, to bring down the level of chochma ilah. We know that the Shem Havaya Yud K Vav K, the Yud is in Chochma, the K is in Bina, the Vav is the Midos, and the second K is Malchus. So we're saying the Yud, the Yodoi is the Yud. Which Yud? That's the first letter of the Shem Havaya, the first letter of the Yud. Hainu, the first letter is Chochma. Hainu, Hamshochas Bechinas Chochma Ilah. That means drawing down. What level is the Yud? The level is Chochma Ilah. That's the level of the Yud. Ha-Yud, the Shem Havaya, the Yud of the Shem Havaya. To take that Yud, okay, Bibechinas Akvaim, to bring it down into the level of the heels. Basically, the name Yaakov itself tells us that Yaakov consists of these two parts of the Yud, okay, to bring down the level of Yud into the heel. That's first in the heel of Yaakov, and then goes even further to Bia and to Esav. V'yidei hamshochas hayud b'ha'ekev di Yaakov. By bringing down the level of Yud, the level of Chochma Ilah, into the Akev of Yaakov, into the heel of Yaakov, the lower level of Yaakov, Va'ad, and to such an extent, you bring it down to Yaakov, that becomes the first letter of his name. So he gets the Yud, not just somewhere in the middle or the end. The Yud is the starting letter. Yaakov is Yud, the letter Yud. So you're bringing down the Yud Ad asher hayud hi hasachola v'horoish the tevas Yaakov. That is the beginning and the head of the word Yaakov. Hainu, which means shayud hi manhiga as Akev. That what leads the Yud leads the Akev. That's the hamshoch of the Yud that leads the Akev. So because it was Yud Akev, hine al yidei zeh hoyefsher liyes vayetze Yaakov goimer vayelech Chorono. So Yaakov can go out therefore and go to Choron. Because the Hamshocha Chochmei Lo in the Akev of Yaakov, Vayetze Yaakov, Yaakov can go out and go into Choron. Lahamshich Hayud, Gam Bibchinas HaAkev the Oilamos, to extend the Yud also in the level of the heel of the world. Again, in the world, the level of the heel of the world means the lower parts of the world. It's like the heel. It's the lower parts of the world. So we're extending the Yud from the Yaakov, Akev, the Yaakov, that he extended to the Akev, the Ha'olamais, the heel of the world. Where? Ad be'olam hazeh hatachten, she'ein tachten lamata mimenu. All the ways to this low world, that there is nothing lower than this world. She'yiyah dira lo yizborech, that the world should be a dwelling place for Hashem. We bring down the world, the level of the Yud, into the Akev. Why does the Yud, how does the Yud that comes down to the Akev of Yaakov have the power for Yaakov to go down to Choron, to go down to the lowest parts of the world? And the Rebbe explains now the level of Yud is a very powerful letter. That's the letter of Yud of the name of Shem Havaya, which means Hashem is here, which is higher than time, so it can come down everywhere. And also, it's constantly creating. Havaya is Yud, constantly creating, meaning they always need the Shem Havaya, they needed to create it, and therefore he can impact that. Let's look inside. Ki mikivon. So the Rebbe explains in the bracket now, what's the power of this Yud that allows to be mevarer till the Elam Hazah Tachna Sheitach Lamata Mimenu is Ki mikivon shehayud the Yaakov. He keniskar leil hayud the Shem Havaya. Since the Yud of Yaakov is the Yud of the name of Hashem Havaya, of Yud K Vav K, so it's the Yud. Shahu, what is the Shem Havaya? Hoya Hoive V'yeh Ke'echad. He is, will be, he was, is, and will be as one. That means he's higher than time. The Shem Havaya represents Hoya Hoive V'yeh Ke'echad, beyond time, not measured in time. He was, is, and will be all together at the same time, which means Hainu Sha'koilu b'shavel lagabe, which means it's all equal by him. The past, present, and future is all the same. And therefore, because we're talking about the Yud, whose past, present is all the same at that level, Gam kemoisha Yud nimsheches b'bchinas ha'ekev de'olomis. Even the way this Yud extends into the Ekev de'olomis, he betokfo, he remains in its force. The world, the Yud, is nimshech in the world and remains in this force. So that's the reason why when we have the Yud in the Akev, that we can overcome, and you could be mevarer even in Eilam Hazah HaTachten, in the very low levels. In addition to the fact that Hoya Hoya V'yeh is Mikivon Shehavaya Hu Meloshen Mahave. Havaya is from the Loshen Mahave, brings into being. V'hayud Sheboy, the Yud in the Loshen of Yud Kevavke, Moire Al Timidus HaHisavus, that points to the continuous existence. Yud is Yikocha Yeyosi brings down always in Chassidus is done. It's a continuous. So the Yud means that Eibusha is always creating. So if the Yud always creates, that's the Yud Hashem Havaya Hara Yudi HaMishelas V'Sheletes B'Chol Ha'Ilamis. So then the Yud is actually the dominant and rules in all the worlds ad be'ekiv shebehem, until even in the heel of the world. Because mikivon shekol mitziusam hu advar havaya hamahava oisam tomid ma'ayin liyesh, because their entire mitzius, their entity, is the dvar havaya that brings them in constantly ma'ayin liyesh. So because of that, that becomes the dominant force, because that creates everything. So that's the force. And we know the force needs to be all the time. And that force of the Yud is in the world. So the world is bottled to the Yud. So if you bring down the Yud to the Ekev, it will be the dominant and that will prevail. So basically he gives in the bracket here two reasons why the Yud, when you bring it down into the Ekev, that allows for Yaakov to go to Choron to be Mevarer. So he says, first of all, because the level of Yud is from the Shem Havaya, which is higher than time. It's Hoya Hoya V'yeh Kechod. And also because the Shem Havaya is always Mechaya. And since it's always Mechaya, it means that the world needs it all the time. And since that, therefore, it is dominant in the world. V'zeu vayetze Yaakov mi Be'ersheva vayelech Chorono. And this is the meaning that Yaakov goes out from Be'ersheva and he goes to Choron, which means she Yaakov mamshich hayud the shem havaya gam b'bchinas Choron. Yaakov goes from Be'ersheva, goes to Choron, means he brings down that yud, the yud ekev from his name. Yaakov goes out and he brings it also to Choron. Shekoi, what is Choron? Kenal Siv Gimel b'Pirush HaBeis. As we said earlier in Siv Gimel, the second meaning, when we talk about Be'ersheva by Yitzchak over there, so over there where Be'ersheva is Bina, goes to Malchus in order to go to Biyah, that it goes al Olam as Biyah. And Il B'Biyah Gufa, and within Bri Yitzira itself, it's Charoin Af Shel Olam. It's the anger of Hashem of the world in the lowest parts of the world. Olam Hazeh HaTachten. In this low world, our low world, she'ein tacht lamata mimenu, because this is nothing lower. This is as low as it goes. And to bring it down there too, that is chorono, vayela chorono, coming down into biyah. To do what? Sheyiya dira lo yizbarech b'tachtonim. So that there should be a dwelling place to him blessed in the lower world. So that's Vayetze Yaakov. Yaakov goes down because Yaakov has the power of the Yud coming down to the Ekev. He goes down from Be'ersheva, he goes down to Choron, and he has the ability to battle and to succeed, not like Avraham and Yitzchak, but to have Mitoser Shleima, to have all of his children at this level. And the Rebbe says now, the reason why Yaakov, the Chochmah, brings down the Yud into the Ekev and Teilum Hazeh is to an elevation. Now, the elevation, the Rebbe is going to explain now, doesn't only happen after he completes and does the Berurim. So through the Berurim, Yaakov gets elevated, but actually no. The elevation is immediately for Yaakov, in order for Yaakov to continue and be successful in his avodah, they give him extra koiches right away in the beginning, that as he's going out to confront Choron and going out to be mevarer it, he gets already more koiches. Hey, this descent. Yaakov goes out of Be'ersheva and he goes to Choron. H'tshilach Aliyah is for the purpose of an elevation. Now, there's V'noi Sef Leha Aliyah. That's in addition to the elevation. Shenaseboy Le'acharei V'al Yidei Avodos B'choron, the elevation that happens to Yaakov after and through his Avodah B'choron. So there is an elevation that takes place after the Avodah. But the Rebbe adds now there is an elevation that he gets even before he starts the Avodah. So in order for him to be successful in Avodah, the Avodah B'choron is going to get, that's going to be an Aliyah. Shal Yidei Shebirer HaNetzutzes the Lavan Ve'esav. Since through the fact that he sorted out the sparks of Lavan Ve'esav, so Yaakov reached a more higher step than he was before, as the pasuk details in Yaakov's prayer to Hashem and his promise, V'shavti b'sholem el beis avi v'goymer, that the madrege that he reached, that came to him after he went through the journey with Lavan and Esav, Kamesh's Bar come on, then later on. But here we're talking Hinegam Lifneza. Even before he goes through his journey, there is already an elevation. Hayud in order for him to be mamshich the yud into choron. Ulevarir hanitzoitzis, and in order for him to sort out the nitzoitz in choron, nimshach by koyach naila yeser. So now extended to him a more elevated power. Yaakov got a higher power in order to be able to do the avodah. Shelo hoye lo tchila begilui. At least openly in the beginning he didn't have it. Rebbe implies that maybe he had it potentially before also, but begilui didn't have it. But now, in order to get him ready for this challenge, the Eibishter gave him extra koiches. Similar, it's known. Gabe Avram Shahoyo Godel Ba'anokim. He was the great amongst the giants, meaning amongst the great he was great. Or Veresh La'avis, he was also the head, the first one of all the fathers of all the Avis. So even him, the great Avram, Shebichdei Sheyeh Av Hamoin Goyim, that in order for him to become the father of multitude of nations, Hamoin Goyim, Avraham, Lahalois Hanitzutzis Shebagoyim, in order for him to elevate the sparks that are in the Goyim, which is Hagerim, those that converted them. Abraham was because of them to godliness, to believing in Hashem. So before that, Nitoisef loy hey, he got an extra hey. Avraham instead of Avram. Then as Avram Haman Goyim, he didn't have the hey lechatchila. So that means that in order for even Avraham, who was the great amongst the giants, he too was able, in order for him to be able to be successful, he needed to have the extra hay that he didn't have in the beginning. So by Yaakov too, in order for Yaakov to go out and meet the challenges, he got an extra koyach mamayl. Shloimar, we can say Shazau Ma'ashemuva b'Torah v'Torah's Chaim. This is the idea that we're saying that he got extra light is explained in the Torah and the Torah's Chaim. They seemingly talk about great lights that were given to Yaakov. That's to explain this idea. As soon, immediately, and as following, when they say Vayetze Yaakov Be'ersheva, they say Mashenemar Tzavei Yeshuas Yaakov. It says the Eibishter say the salvation of Yaakov. So Tzavei, the Rebbe is going to teach, connect Yeshuas. Yeshuas is Shin Ayin Hein Oirin. in the level of Arich, in Chitzonis HaKeser, there is the 375 lights. Some places it says 370, but the Eibishter connects the lights of Arich to Yaakov. That gives him the power. Avdira explains in the Maimorim, Tzabe Yeshuas Yaakov, Shehu Hamshochas Bechinas, Shin Ayin Hein Hoidim the Arich. Those are the 375 lights of Arich. As the Rebbe brings down in the heart of 44, and I remember this when we learned the Torah Oir, we had the issue. Some places it says it's 370, some places at 375. The Rebbe brings this down from the Torah Oir over there and pointed out over there and tried to look some sources then over there too. And when we were learning the Torah Oir. Kikemoi she'inyan ha'yeshua bepashtus hu. So what's the connection to this special? The Eibishter says, give Yeshua's Yaakov. Why are we connecting this to when Yaakov is going to Choron? Yeah, the Maimer says that Saba Yeshua's Yaakov, that this was something which Yaakov got as he was leaving for Choron. But why? How does it hinted in the pasuk? Because Yeshua means salvation. A salvation means when you have a problem, and then the Eibishter gives you salvation, he gives you a Yeshua, he helps you. That means a salvation. So here, Yaakov needed the salvation to help him. Just like the idea of helping a Yeshua is simply and literally. That is a support. And you're given powers, special powers, which is not the usual. And this is, why are we giving this strength, this power? That's specifically because of the person that you helping. He's on a very low standing. He's a very low standing. Yeshua. He needs a help. He needs salvation. That's the pashta meaning. When a Yeshua, you need a Yeshua, means that you're needing of something, that you're on a level that is low, and you need extra strength in your level. Al derech zeh hugam bepirish hapnimi di Yeshua. This is also a similar way in the inner meaning of Yeshua's. What do we say Yeshua Shin Yonim? Who Shin Ayin Hey Nahodim Darich, which Yeshua's is the 375 lights of the level of Arich. Shaham Shachosom LeYaakov, that they extend to Yaakov Hidavke Bishvil Hamatzav the Yitziose Meber Shava. They're specifically for his condition that he's going out from Beersheva, Valichosi Charona, and he's going to Choron. He needs those 375 lights of Arich to help him. Shebichdei sheyuchal lahamshich hayud gam bechoron. In order for Yaakov to bring down the Yud also in Choron, tzorich liyes tzave Yeshuas Yaakov, we need to connect the Yeshuas to Yaakov. We need him to get the Yeshuas. Lahamshich Yaakov, to draw down to Yaakov the Shin Ayin Hey Nahoidin the Arich, the 375 lights of Arich, Shalamaylo Mihishtalshalus, which are higher than Ishtalshalus, and Lamaylo Gam Hayud the Shem Havaya, which is higher, even the Yud of the Shem Havaya, Hayud the Yaakov. The Yud, Yaakov already has the Yud. The Yud represents the Yud of the Shem Havaya. That's the level of Chokhmah. But that's the level of Chokhmah the Atzilus. We're being mamshich to Yaakov in order for him to be able to go to Choron higher. We mamshich to Yaakov the level of Tzave Yeshuas Yaakov. We're giving the Yeshuas to Yaakov. We're giving him on top of that this 375 lights of the level of Arich to come down to the level of Yaakov, and then Yaakov can go to Choron. Now, normally we translate Tzave Yeshuas Yaakov, command the Yeshuas to Yaakov, command Yeshuas to Yaakov, Tzave. But Tzave means also Chibur. The Rebbe says specifically, we're not just saying give him, but connect the Yeshuas to Yaakov. Tzave Yeshuas Yaakov means connect the Shinaim Yaakov. Yesh loymar, yesh lahoyse b'diuk loshen hakosuf. Tzave Yeshuas Yaakov, Tzave Davka, it says, instruct, Sham Shochas HaYeshuas, that this bringing down the Yeshuas, which is the Shin Ayin Heina Hoydin, those are the 375 lights, LeYaakov, Tiye Be'oifen the Tzave, you should be in a way of Tzave. Loshen Tzavso V'chibur, in a way of connecting together, to bring the 375 Nor together with Yaakov. Because essentially you have to bring together something which is higher. Yaakov is the level of Chochmah, the Yud of Shem Havaya. And here you're bringing him the level of Shinayin Hein Lahoirin, the Shin. The Hagam Shashin Ayin Hein Lahoirin, even though that the 375 lights, Heim L'mayla Yaakov, they're higher than Yaakov. Not only higher than Yaakov, L'mayla Gama Yud Shabai. They're higher than the Yud. Yud is Chochmah. This is Keser. Arich. Mikol Makoim. They will be connected and united with it. The Rebbe says in Yiddish, as they werden abgegeben zu ihm bepnimius. They are gifted to him, they're given to him in an inner, they become mamash his. Lemay bal yidei shenimshech liYaakov b'chinas Yeshuas hanal. The fact that he gets the Yeshuas l'tzoyrech halichosei lechoren, because he needs to go to Choron, he gets now connected. Tzave Yeshuas Yaakov. Hoya batuach. So now he was secure. He was sure. Oy lifnei achilosei leor Choron. Even before he goes to Choron. Shetiskayim tfilosei, that his prayer will be fulfilled. Sheyiyeh v'nosan li lechem lechelu beged lilbasht. That Hashem will give me bread to eat and a garment to wear. V'yisei mizu, and even a higher level, v'shavti b'sholem el beis ovi. I will return in peace beis ovi, as the Rebbe will talk about the different levels. V'yisei mizu v'hoya vayli lelikim. Hashem will be lelikim. V'yisei mizu, and higher, v'evan hazois asher samti matzeva yi beis lelikim. That this stone that I placed as a monument will be the house of God. So these are the 4 steps in the different levels that Yaakov wanted to reach, and that all because it was Tzave Yeshuas Yaakov, he got the level of Shiva and Hoirim. He was sure that these 4 levels of Lechem Lechel Beged Lilbash and Shafti B'Sholem Beis Hovi, V'Hoya Vayli Lekim, V'Evan Shamti Matzei Beis Lekim will all be fulfilled. Okay, so now the Rebbe says that this prayer of Yaakov and all the details, first we find the story with Yaakov that he collected the stones, and that was the beginning of his avodah over there at the time by his after his dream, that he collected the stones and he made all the stones into one stone. What does that mean? What was that meaning of that avodah, what Yaakov did over there? Both. V'hinei tfilosa shel Yaakov, Yaakov's prayer, and it wasn't just a prayer, but from the nether, he made a vow, he made a promise. So it's more than just a prayer. Im yiyeh lekim imodi goimer, if Hashem will be with me, v'evan hazois goimer yiyeh beis lekim. Hoiso la'achrei ha'avodah, that was after the service that the pasuk describes, the vayikach me'avnei hamokoim vayosem mirashoy. So first he took from the stones that were in that place, and he put them underneath his head. What does this mean, taking the stones of the place and putting it under his head? Idea is, Mokoim hu hageder the oilam. Mokoim is world. That is the definition of the world, is space. Space, Mokoim, is the definition of the world. K'de'isa b'Tanya, as it says in the Tanya, shegeder ha'olam, of the definition of the world is both, Mokoim uzman. It's place and time, but we're talking about Mokoim now, because it says he took me'avnei ha'mokoim. So this is, he took stones from the world, Now, we also find the Eibishter is called Mokoim, Baruch HaMokoim, Baruch Hu, or Hine Mokoim Iti. We find that Mokoim is also a name for Hashem. HaMokoim Yenachem Eschem. We find Mokoim. Here we're saying that Mokoim means world, not Hashem. We find Mokoim sometimes meaning Hashem. The Rebbe says Mokoim is Hashem only through gematrias, through roundabout ways. But Pashtus Mokoim means Gashmis, means this world. That is Mokoim. Mokoim space is this world. And the Rebbe therefore adds in the brackets, even though Vagam Shemokoim Hu Shmoi Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Although Mokoim is also the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shenikra Mokoim, he's called Mokoim. And the reason why Hashem is called Mokoim, because we say, when the Eibishter said, Hine, Mokoim iti, the place is with me, is Hu Mekoima Shel Olam Ve'ein Olam Mekoimai. The world is not a place for Hashem, does not contain Hashem, but rather Hashem contains Mokoim. But nevertheless, as far as our discussion here, we still say that Hashem is called Mokoim, because Mekoim Shel Olam, here we're saying that Mokoim represents world, but over there we also know that Hashem's name is called Mokoim. So the Rebbe says that Inyan Zed, that idea that Hashem is Mokoim, Hu Behelam, that's obscure. We don't see that Hashem is Mokoim. Umashaniker Baha Mokoim Hu Ha'olam. What is recognizable in the place is Olam, world. And the Rebbe brings out that the name, the Rebbe brings out the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. Sometimes there's a way you calculate by squaring out the numbers. So Yud becomes 10 times 10. K becomes 5 times 5. Vav becomes 6 times 6. And the last Hey of Yud Kei Vav Kei becomes 5 times 5. 25. If you add all the numbers, square all the numbers, it comes out to a total of 186, which is the gematria of Mokoim. That means Mokoim becomes the gematria through the square gematria. It becomes the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's obscure. That's not clear. In the word Mokoim, you don't see the Shem Havaya. The Shem Havaya, you have to come. So the Rebbe is saying, this is what he's saying. The Zehu Masha Havaya Biribua Bigimatria Mokoim. That Hashem Biribua is the gematria of Mokoim. It equals 186, which is Mokoim. But when you look at the Shem Havaya, it doesn't fit in there. It's just when you go through the gematria Biribua. So that means Hainu she'inyan Havaya she'nimshach be'Mokoim. So the idea of Havaya, which comes into place, Hurak be'oifen the gematria shu cheshbon ha'oisius. It's only in a way of a gematria of the numerical value, which is the calculation of the letters. When you talk about cheshbon, shecheshbon moira al miyut ha'oir, chulu miyut achar miyut, the calculation points to the diminishing of the light, one diminishing after the other, which means very little of the light of the Shem Havaya is actually in the Mokim. So that means that the name of Havaya that Hashem is called Mokim is obscure, very little. What is open in Mokim? That it is the world. The world is Mokim. So let's go back to what Yaakov did. Yaakov takes me'avnei hamokim. What is the avnei hamokim? Avnei hamokim, stones of b'chinas doimim. That's the inanimate. Heim sug ha'yoser tachten shebe'olam. That's the lowest category in the world. So he's in the world. The avnei is the stones. That's the doimim of the world. And not just in a singular, but a plural. Avnei, stones in a plural. Uveze gufa avnei loshin rabin. That shows on fragmentation, separation, a lot, many. So, vayikach, Yaakov takes from the lowest, from the avnei, from the doimim, and as they're in a plural, many of them. What does he do? Sheyakov vezeu vayikach me'avnei hamokim vayosem mirashoisov. He raises them and he puts them underneath his head. What does it mean? Sheyakov also me'avnei hamokim. Yaakov took this fragmentation, this many stones of the place, avnei loshen rabim. He makes them erven achas. He makes them one stone. Shalochen kesiv. That's why it says vayosem, not veloy vayisimem. The Rebbe in the note, there's the other eyes. The Pasuk Beferish says that in the heaven ones later on, but he brings down in the note over here that it's also a raya from vayosem, because it says vayosem and not vayisimem. So we see that it has all the plural became one stone. So what did Yaakov do? Yaakov's avodah is to take the plural, take the many, make them into one. Not only that, what does he do with that one stone? He puts it underneath his head. What does it mean he puts it underneath his head? Your head is raised. That's your pillow. That's what raises your head. So that means that the stone that he elevated became something that elevates Yaakov's head. Sheikbia vehele eso even, that Yaakov raised and he brought up that stone to such an extent that the stone can now raise his head. The Rebbe says, not only did he raise it to the level that the stone can raise his head, but even more than this, that this Evan is not only did he elevate it that it can raise his head, but this Evan is higher than the head of Yaakov, which means that's higher even than the Yud of Yaakov, higher than his head, because we said before the Yud is the first letter of Yaakov, and that's the head of the word Yaakov, and here the Yud is the Chochmah. Here we're saying now that I would say that he raised it not only to the level of his head, that he raised his head, but he raised it even higher than his Chochmah, higher than his Yud of his Shurish, like you know. And then, and then that's what he prayed. That this stone that he raised should be basically Kim. This one stone that he has turned in from many stones. Not only should it be higher than the head, Hayud Yaakov, El Shatil Yoser, but it should be even higher. It should be a basically Kim, a bayis v'direlatz musi yizborech, a house, an admirant place to his blessed essence. So here, the Rebbe explains that the avodah of Vayikach ma'avnei hamokim means to take matters of this world, matters that are fragmented, a lot of them, and it's in mokim olam hazeh. While mokim can also mean Hashem, but that's hidden. The poil mamish, what we see mokim is the world, and you take the lowest in the world, Avnei Mokim, you raise them. You make them into one stone. You put them underneath your head, and you raise them underneath your head. And this, he raised them even to a level that later on should become the level of Beis Elikim. Okay, we'll be mamshich later.
Okay.
Thank you.